any form of photography is strictly prohibited. Anybody doing so may be asked to leave the theatre by staff. Thank you, and enjoy the performance.
The first appearance had a rustic charm and a warm, country-like appeal. Set in a secluded area on the back roads, it was obscured and hard to find. This was the least of the problems. The room wasn't big enough to swing a cat. The blinds were dusty and played havoc with my travelling companion's sinuses. The carpet had seen better days and was threadbare. The furniture strategically placed to hide bald patches. The room itself smelled of mothballs. Or perhaps it was the cheap air freshener that the landlord constantly sprayed about the place. There were dirty, cracked tiles in the bathroom and a shower curtain that, although not at first visible, had definite evidence of mildew on it. The landlord seemed to be too preoccupied with simple chit-chat about the weather and local attractions, when he should really have been replacing the grey and grout in the bathroom and cleaning out the shower head. When my partner unscrewed it to examine inside, he found what we believed were definite signs of Legionnaire's disease. Post-examination inside the toilet system revealed that the ball cock had seen better days and hadn't been cleaned for some time, if ever. I managed to crack the system lid whilst trying to put it back, which only made me wonder what cheap and shoddy bathroom materials our host must have chosen to furnish the place. All in all, a cheap but certainly not cheerful weekend was spent here. Avoid Sunny View Guesthouse at all costs.
Hello. Yes, I am the owner of Sunnyview Guesthouse, and I... Hello. I am the owner, I'm inquiring about a recent posting on the Sunnyview Guesthouse. My username. Yes, it's Wandering Minstrel. See, it's just that, having thought about it, I may have said some things that were a little too strong, so I was hoping you could remove it and I could rewrite it. Well, see, my diction in a few places leaves a lot to be desired, and I don't want to appear as if I'm of low intelligence, which is how I feel this review comes across, as though it's written by someone of low intelligence. You can't remove it. You accepted it easily enough. It's just, I kind of wrote it on the spur of the moment, and what's written, what I wrote, is just, I can't see how anyone reading this would want to stay here. Yes, I know I should have considered that, yes, but I'm only considering it now, aren't I? I can't see how anyone would want to stay here after this. Yes, you're right. I shouldn't have written it. And you know what? I didn't write it! There! I said it! I only told you I was this wandering bloody minstrel to get your attention, because every time I tell you I'm the landlord of Sunnyview Guesthouse, you... Bastard! It's just to tide us over until the festival. Then I'm sure things will pick up. The guest house, it's always been a bit of a dream of mine. Gloria, my wife, she always saw it as a stepping stone to bigger things. You know, a chain of small guest houses, maybe even our own hotel. She's always talking about getting ahead and making something of our lives. I was only ever interested in the people you would get to meet as they passed through. You know, I'd say to her, there's more to life than just money, dear. Don't you agree? Possibly not the best question to ask my bank manager. See, the way I see it is that if you've got enough to live on, and then you can bring a little happiness into people's lives and make their stay more enjoyable, what's wrong with that? Profit. It's not something that really concerns me. I mean, what shall it profit a man if he shall inherit the world and yet loses his soul in the process, eh? Yes, pleased to say that I'm no longer, afflicted by the curse of ambition. Not anymore. I was once, though. But I came to my senses. You see, this was the bone of contention between Gloria and me. How will you ever get ahead in life? She'd say. You'll never get ahead. Where is my wife? She went to live with her sister in Australia. I miss her, I suppose. Though I don't miss the way she spoke to me, particularly towards the end. Before she left, I mean. Yes, she did close down her online bank accounts and transfer all the money into mine. Guilt, I expect. You know, some small token to try and right some of her wrongdoings. £20,000 is very generous, but it doesn't last long. And I mean, nor does it make up for years of humiliation. I mean, what price can you put on a person's sanity when someone's chipping away at it like a rock hammer on a block of chalk till it's crumbling till there's nothing left but dust? You don't need to hear all this. It would be true to say that I've fallen in some hard times, but that's, you know, part of life's rich pageant, isn't it? You take the rough with the smooth, and, you know, the path of life is strewn with many... Yes, it does look bleak, but that's why I've come to you. What caused it? Recession. Maybe people not wanting to spend their holidays in the countryside anymore. What's left of it. New bypass at the back of Sunnyview might have something to do with that. See, that's where the Sunnyview was. Now, it's obscured most of the day by the flyover. The runway hasn't helped either. Being on a major flight path so close to the airport doesn't offer quite the same tranquility we used to. I can deal with that. It's this review I can't. Oh, I didn't tell you. Well, somebody has written a rather unsavoury review on a holiday advisor website, naming Sunnyview Guest House as... It's totally unwarranted and it's been quite a blow to the business. But I am in the process of getting the site to remove it. Should be any day now, and then I'm sure business will be booming again. Not that it ever was. Booming, I mean. The only boom I'm likely to hear is a sonic one if they decide to bring Concorde back, which, knowing my luck, they probably will, and soon it'll be flying overhead every hour on the hour. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep a positive mental attitude to this. It's all I can do. It's just a minor blip, a fly in the ointment, a great steaming dog tut on my nice clean bath! The loan? Yes, I was thinking 10,000. Are you all right? Is it because the sum's so low you find it amusing? 15 then. 20. Look, sitting there laughing isn't helping matters, okay? I need an answer. No. Do you mean not just now or just no? Right. Fine. Thank you for your time. Do you know what? I will get ahead. I'm going to make so much money to make you choke. I'm going to deposit all in my account just so you can see it. And then I'm going to take it all back out again and make you count out every single penny on the counter. Then you'll see I'm not someone to be trifled with.
Dear wandering minstrel, I am saddened to hear your stay at Sunnyview Guest House a few months ago was not to your liking. Here at Sunnyview, we pride ourselves on customer satisfaction, and if a guest has a complaint, something I have until now found as rare as hen's teeth, I would hope that they could bring this to my attention and we could deal with the situation amicably, rather than by your preferred method of plastering it over the World Wide Web. Your review, which I'm sure was intended as constructive, has had rather a detrimental effect on my trade of late. I am but a small business, just trying to get ahead, and can ill afford negative publicity of this kind. It's damaging, and unless removed, could effectively finish me off. I appreciate the points you have raised, and I thank you for bringing them to my attention, along with the attention of the other 33,497 people who have also viewed it since it went live.
Please, rest assured, I aim to put right the broken tile in the shower and regrout the greying area, which, albeit I foolishly thought was out of sight, but as you kindly pointed out, with some strategic movement of the bathroom vanity unit, can in fact be seen if one looks closely. I will polish the ballcock, something I must admit that I overlooked in my tardiness. Make sure all the blinds are completely devoid of a single speck of dust. Replace any carpet that's even the slightest bit threadbare. In fact, I would go so far as to say that if its shag pile looks like nothing less than a woolly mammoth that has spent the afternoon being pampered, shampooed, set and coiffured by Pete Alfredson himself, then I shall recarpet the whole house, inside the loft, and the garden shed should any other overzealous guest wish to visit there purely out of curiosity.
Floor hinges and all knobs will be oiled and polished to perfection. Any offending splinters on door frames swiftly located and sanded. Rust removed, stains vanquished, handprints disintegrated, and any cup rings on wooden surfaces that prove offending to the eye will be at the mercy of the best French polisher money can buy. Shelves will be realigned using the very latest in laser technology, and the same techniques applied to the dining room tables to ensure they remain completely level at all times. Accompanying chairs examined with a plumb line for straightness of back. The microwave oven tested with a Geiger counter for possible radiation rates. As a further precaution, said microwave's audible beep, along with that of the washing machine, the TV, stereo and doorbell, will all be monitored by a decibel meter to ensure they all fall within the government guidelines regarding noise pollution. Percy, the pet goldfish, will be assessed by the local government body and the correct certificates obtained to ensure his presence in his bowl in the hallway doesn't contravene the Keeping of a Dangerous Pet Act of 1995. All light bulbs, again tested with a Geiger counter for leaking radiation, will have mesh guards fitted over them should they spontaneously combust, showering the unsuspecting guest with shards of hot, molten glass.
In short, the points raised in your review have given me the opportunity to cast a critical eye to Sunnyview Guesthouse and enable me to redress the above mentioned and more. I would like to now assure you that your findings will now be dealt with and would like to thank you for bringing these to my attention, and would also ask that, since you would be kind enough to graciously remove this from the website. Yours sincerely, Mr. Ralph H. Carpenter.
Dear Mr. Carpenter, thank you for your recent correspondence in relation to my review on your guest house. I'm pleased that I have been able to show you your shortcomings within the hotel industry. But the fact of the matter remains that I, and I'm sure everyone reading this, haven't failed to note the sarcastic tone of your reply. I'm therefore treating it in the manner it was intended, and will stand by my original review, which I believe will remain on the site long after we have both shuffled off our mortal coil and gone to meet our Maker. Since your reply has served to jog my memory, I thought I would bring the following previously omitted issues to your attention. Your culinary skills leave a lot to be desired. Egon Rone, you are not. For breakfast I opted for the kipper. But when it arrived, limp and looking as though it had been hammered wafer thin by a steak tenderizer, I didn't have the heart to eat the poor thing. Lunchtime also brought its own rare delight. A platter of assorted sandwiches. Assorted being the operative word here, I envisaged such diversity as smoked salmon, prime beef, tiger prawns and lettuce. Instead, this veritable selection, plucked from the realms of your imagination, remained firmly in the arena de la fromage, and rather than hammer home a point, which I'm sure I could have done with a brie were it required, the word selection in my world means variety, and doesn't restrict itself to a warm cheddar or an anemic double Gloucester. Any side order of salad or green vegetables proved as elusive as Lord Lucan, and the bread that housed these culinary delights, I hazard, may have indeed been as old as him. Evening meal. Where do I start? at Sunnyview would appear to be with the same soup du jour for 3 days on the trot. Oh, and the term beef Wellington is the name of a dish, not an instruction to make it taste like the very footwear it borrows its moniker from. A skill I'm sure only you can achieve. I could go on, but really don't see the point. I just hope my reviews will spare some poor sod the same torture we went through in the brief, unfortunate time we spent as what could only be described as your victims, rather than your guests. Yours sincerely, Wandering Minstrel.
Right.
Dear Wandering Minstrel, thank you for bringing yet more of your petty foibles to my attention. There's just no pleasing some people, and you really are one of those, aren't you, to be hiding behind this ridiculous pseudonym. I had gone out of my way to try and make your stay as pleasant as possible, but if you are who I think you are, that self-absorbed tosspot who breezed about my home with an expression that looked as though a fart was under his nose at all times, judging by the proximity of your belching, flatulent companion at any given turn, I am assuming that was indeed the case, then my gut feeling when I first met you that you would be a nightmare is something I should have listened to and promptly shown you the door, had you not been wiping your finger down its frame at the time looking for signs of dust.
For anyone reading this, Wandering Minstrel, an aloof pedant and his sidekick, a gargantuan wildebeest of a man who didn't stop grazing from the minute he arrived to the second he left, are two of the most repugnant, anal, pampered and fevered egos I have ever had the misfortune to come across in my years as a hotelier. If I never see you again, it would be too soon, you toffee-nosed tit. Who the hell do you think you are, coming into my home and pulling apart my good-natured hospitality for your own gratification? You, sir, are an internet troll. You thrive on the misery and misfortune of others, and I'm sure the thought of exacting some kind of misguided revenge against me for these heinous deeds I have purported towards you and your fragile little existence gives you nothing short of a cheap little thrill shared only by your travelling companion, who, it seems, can only function because you allow him to. I wonder, does this medical marvel, who has recently stared Legionnaire's disease in the face, or rather, in my shower head, have an original opinion of his own? It did occur to me during your thankfully brief stay that your rather bizarre relationship with him is not only deeply unhealthy, but that you are indeed the sort of person who will prey on the vulnerable for your own means. In short, you are a leech. This sad, flatulent and unfortunate creature wears a look of despondency shared only by those ascending the steps of the gallows. It would have been quite fitting had he decided to end his miserable existence with you here at his stay at Sunnyview in the very bathtub he spent hours examining for signs of limescale. In fact, I wish nothing short of death on the pair of you. What you have done is served to ruin my reputation, my livelihood, and in fact my entire life. It's over, so thanks for that, bastard!
Dear Wandering Minstrel, thank you for your reply and for pointing out the sarcastic tone of my correspondence. I wish to apologise. I am a passionate man and simply allowed frustration to get the better of me. This was born out of the fact that I have failed in my duty to make your stay here a pleasant one. I wholeheartedly agree by the ethos that the customer is always right. You, sir, are the lifeblood of this industry. Without you, I don't have a business. Without you,
Business.
I've now had time to reflect on my tardiness towards you, and although I have no excuse, I would like to assure you that a combination of personal circumstances on my part were at the root of the problems you faced during your stay. I am pleased to say that they are no longer an issue, but I'm aware the damage has already been done. So in the interest of good customer relations, I hope you will find it in your heart.
Your cold, black heart. To allow me to put things right, and accept my offer in the manner it is intended. An olive branch, if you will, for you and your travelling companion to return to stay at Sunnyview as my guests. Free gratis, at a weekend of your choosing during the forthcoming Edinburgh Festival. I understand a lot has been taken away from you, you arrogant ass. What has been said, particularly by me, but I hope it's in the spirit of good customer relations, you will allow me to make amends and you both have a weekend at Sunnyview Guesthouse that you will never forget. I look forward to your reply. Yours sincerely, Mr. Ralph H. Carpenter. Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, a townhouse.
No, a guest house.
Oh, are we staying here tonight?
I've put in an offer.
To buy? What would we be wanting with a guest house?
We'd be leaving the rat race. Like escaping the city. Look, I mean, look around you, Gloria. Look at how peaceful it is. I mean, look, Blak is totally unspoiled, and that view.
Oh, for how long?
There's no plans to build anywhere near for at least the next 10 years. Look, and it's going for a song. I thought if we put all our savings together...
All of our savings? Why, put away that money for a rainy day in case we need it. In case we need something to fall back on.
Oh, when we're old and grey and life's passed us by. No, this opportunity is too good to miss. I mean, think about it, Gloria. Our own guest house. You're looking at our future.
What about your writing career? Your trial for Hollyoaks?
No, I can't be part of any more of these beauty competitions. Look, television, it's not what it used to be. It's like a long plastic hallway, a money trench where thieves and pimps run free and good men die like dogs. No!
But you were doing so well, and you've worked so hard.
Then what chance do I have against cheap scripted reality shows like my brummy BFF and her sister was a pope? I can't keep writing for free, hoping that one of these unknown so-called producers will show my work to some fictitious contact who's neither got the interest or ability to put it on. I mean, no matter how good it is.
Poor Ralph. You must feel so rejected.
The rejection I can handle. It's the hope I can't stand. Look, Gloria, these people, they bring out the worst in me. I mean, I've started to have dark thoughts, dark, unhealthy thoughts. I need to get out before I do something to one of them.
You wouldn't hurt a fly.
Gloria, there's a side to me that you really wouldn't like to see. When I get riled, I just... Does that mean yes?
We'll give it a year, and if it doesn't work...
It will work out! I'll make it work! I won't let you down! I'll make this work for both of us! Oh, Gloria, I knew you would share my vision. Oh, here we go. We are so in tune. There we go. To us. And our... There you go. To us and our future.
Cheers.
there's one more thing. Would you make me the happiest man in the world and marry me? Gloria?
Yes?
Yes!
Oh,
Yes!
Oh,
Yes! Yes!
yes, I will.
Oh, yes, okay! There we go.
Drink up, Ralphie. It's a double celebration.
Yes, if you just keep going straight ahead, that takes you onto Lothian Road. Yep, and the cinema's about halfway up. You can't miss it. Oh, no, you're very welcome, thank you. Have a nice evening. Our guest has a premiere in town this evening.
That's nice. That could have been, as you know, walking the red carpet, cocktail parties, mixing with the celebrities.
You sound disappointed.
Why don't you ask her to have a look at one of your film scripts?
What, and put myself through that torture all over again? No, we are happy as we are.
Yes. Yes, this life is so much more safe. Ralphie, why don't we have an early night tonight? It's been ages since we, you know.
The American guests will be arriving soon.
You've always got time for the guests, and never any for me. Sometimes I think you don't find me attractive anymore.
Of course I do. It's just the business takes up so much of my time.
Oh, Ralph, I just want that spark back. The way we used to be when we first met, remember? We were spontaneous. We took risks. Do you remember that time we drove down that dark, secluded country spot and you told me to get out of the car? Then you sat me on top of the bonnet and started to undress me. Your hands were all over me and oh my God, that wasn't you.
Darling,
Yes?
I don't want there to be any secrets between us, but I have to ask. How many were there before me? Please, just tell me.
I don't know. Average, I suppose. 30, 40.
40!
40! Did I say 40? I meant to say 4. There's been 4.
You seem to be drinking a lot more these days as well. I can't help thinking there's something missing in your life. As though there's some void that I just can't fill.
Don't be silly, Ralphie. I don't need anyone or anything. Only you.
promise you weren't going to drink anymore, dear?
Can you blame me? It's the only thing that helps to blot out this perpetual noise. No plans to build for 10 years, you said. It's going for a song, you said. Well, now we know why, don't we?
We'll be finished soon, dear.
I can't last till next September. I'm going slowly mad.
Why don't you go and visit your sister in Australia?
Yes. Yes, why not? We're handy for the airport, aren't we? In fact, if that new runway were any closer, we would need traffic lights and a barrier at the end of our drive. Oh, Ralph. Let's just pack up and go. At least we can say we've tried.
Look, it's just a bad patch. Okay? Look, that's just life.
But it's not the life I wanted. Not the life I chose. I'm unhappy, Ralph. I'm lonely.
Gloria, you really must try and pull yourself out of this slump. Will you please just stop wallowing?
I'll wallow if I like.
Gloria, we have to try and keep what little guests we have.
You better go to them then. Hadn't you? When I met him, he had ambition. People says he had talent. He had the potential to become a great writer. And I had dreams of award ceremonies, opening nights, trips to Hollywood. But then the knocks came, and the cracks started to appear in his confidence. I had hoped that being here in the countryside would help inspire him, fire him up again. But the damage had already been done. He was beyond repair. And so I said goodbye to my dreams of award ceremonies and parties, and hello to an endless stream of guests. I got to know some of them. A little too well, if you know what I mean. Well, it was inevitable. There was this young actor who came to stay here to escape the hustle and bustle of the festival. I saw in him the same spark of ambition that Ralph once had, only it raged like a fire inside this young actor. Ralph, I'm sure he knew about our night together, but he didn't say anything. He was too consumed with the business as we went under. And then there was a review that hit him worse than any open night he ever had. Worse than any bad review. Worse than being taken off air even. He became obsessed with it. Obsessed with them. And the void between us got bigger and bigger. So I continued to look for comfort elsewhere, with other guests. I suppose I hoped that it would shock Ralph back into existence. But when he didn't say anything, I knew then that he'd given me a license to do whatever I wanted. And I did. Time and time again. It didn't make me happy. All it did was turn my love for Ralph into hate. I mean, what kind of man turns a blind eye? But by then, he wasn't a man anymore. He was a mouse.
Yes! Oh, that's it! Right there! Oh yes! Faster! Longer! Deeper! Harder!
More and more people are reading this review by the day.
The review! Is that all you can think about?
That's the reason the business has been so bad. How can this person say these things about us? The salesmen don't seem to have a problem with it. There's no end to them. If they stopped coming, I don't know what I would do.
Me either.
It's not enough to keep the wolf from the door, though. We're in trouble, Gloria.
No. You're in trouble. You're the one that plowed all his savings into this pit.
Like, the flyover, it's had a detrimental effect on the business. And the runway. We owe the bank a lot.
You owe the bank a lot.
Which is why I wanted to ask you if we could use some of your savings to help pay the mortgage. Just to tide us over. Look, this review can send us under.
Relax, we've still got some guests.
What? A handful of worn-out salesmen.
They're not all worn out.
Roger always seems to be. In fact, Roger by name, Roger by nature, I'd say. What? You think I didn't know? Or do you just not care? Is that it?
Finally! Might it have occurred to you that I wanted you to say something about it? Look at you! Standing there, spineless! What kind of man are you? Well, I suppose now's as good a time to tell you as any. I'm leaving. I'll be going first thing in the morning. This life was never for me. I'm going to start a new one with Roger. Oh, for once, be a man,
What do you
Ralph!
want me to do? Do you want me to hit you? You know how I feel about violence. If I cross over that line...
Oh,
then
yes,
I'll-
that's right. The mist comes down. There's no telling what you might do. Will you live in your little fantasy? Because I'm going to have a life.
Oh, with Roger?
Yes, with Roger. Did you see his BMW out there in the drive? Leather upholstery, reclining seats.
Stop it.
He's had me in that car twice.
Stop
this
talking like
week.
that!
Roger's got ambition. Roger's got drive. He sees what he wants and he takes it.
Well, he's taking off!
He'll just have gone to the garage or something, that's all.
Well, if he has, he's gone in a hurry. His clothes are gone. His room's empty. He hasn't paid his bill! Prostitutes usually get paid, don't they, darling?
How dare you?
What is I? You're not a wife. You're just a lush who, when she's not abusing the guests, is having sex with them.
It's better than bending over backwards to please them.
I'm sure you've done that on more than one occasion, darling.
You could learn a lot from a man like Roger, you know. He's got ambition. He sees what he wants, and he takes it. If you want something in this life, Ralph, well, you've just got to take it with both hands. But you won't, will you? You'll just stay here and rot. And you know why? Because you've no ambition left. No desire to better yourself. You've turned into this sad little man. Content with his lot. You're never, ever gonna get ahead.
Actually, dear, that's where you're wrong. That's exactly what I'm going to get.
characters, George, Phil, Desmond, they're just names, aren't they? I mean, they have no real arc. You see, they should start off at the beginning of the script with a goal, and well, by the end, they should have achieved that goal. Yes, I suppose the lead character does in some small way, but in the end, and as you say, he faces insurmountable hurdles, and yes, I suppose he does triumph over some sort of adversity and corruption. But what is his inner conflict? His obstacles? His inability to trust and a deep-rooted desire for a father figure he's never had? Being unjustly made a pariah in a world gone mad? Oh, which he then has to save. Yes, but that's all a bit obvious, isn't it? A bit on the nose. I mean, what is the subtext here? A cautionary tale about the fragility of human existence, you say? See, that's where it all gets a bit muddy for me. Subtextual. That is it. And another thing I find myself asking, you know, as I read the script is, well, what genre and theme is it? Because it's just not clear, and that is so essential to be able to encapsulate in just a couple of words. A personal drama with a desire for validation as its theme. But is that coming across? I don't think it is. Not in this draft. Look, what I suggest is you go back and re-examine your characters and story. If you start now, you could have a new draft finished by, well, let's see, the end of the week. If you take on board my notes. I mean, it should practically write itself. I mean, it's just words, isn't it? Don't be so disheartened. Maybe this is a lesson that feature films just aren't your forte. Yes, well, it was good to see you. Well, bye.
Are you ready to order, sir?
I'm waiting for my colleague, thank you.
Sorry about that. Bloody writers.
Wasn't that,
Odd northern working class social realist brought up on kitchen sink drama, self-taught pain in the arse. Yes.
He won a BAFTA, didn't he? And an RTS award? And an international Emmy?
Yeah, not worth a sausage. Not in the world of film. And that's where it really counts.
Lord help us if he ever writes a play.
Ooh. You know, I inherited him on the writing team when I was working on the soaps. For my sins. My God, did I make some progress in the short, all too brief time I was there. Do you know he had the audacity to question one of my story ideas? Said it didn't ring true with the characters. Of course, I had to pay him back. Keep him in line.
Mm-hmm. You sacked him?
Oh, good God, no. You don't sack a writer. No, that's far too easy. You see, you let them do 3 drafts of the script. You tell them it's all going fine, and then you get a minion to tell them it's not working out. And then you refuse not only their phone calls, but also their final payments. It's their own insecurity that finishes them off.
I take it this is bad, then?
I've no idea. I haven't read it. Just the first page.
But I heard you. What was all that about?
I just brought him halfway across town so I could spout McKee at him.
There's some good dialogue. And that's a really well-written scene. Do you mind if I...
Just take it.
Thank you. I will.
What are you doing?
Putting my name on it. It'll come in handy for another development application or something.
Oh, which reminds me. I saw your website. So the film's going ahead then?
Yes, we're planning to shoot when the lights and nights come in.
Didn't you say that last year? And the year before?
Oh, is that a film script?
Yes, I'm a writer, director, producer. This is my script. That's my name there. Underwritten by
in red pen.
Yes, yeah, I was just editing it. You look very familiar. You're an actress, aren't you?
No.
You should be. You have a very, classic look. Very Ingrid Bergman, wouldn't you say? Why don't you join me for drinks later? We can talk about your, change of career.
Oh, look, could we order, please? I'll have the lobster thermidor and a Chateau Margaux. A 1995.
And I'll have the sea bream and a Chateau Lafite Rothschild Pauillac 1996.
As well as the Chateau Margaux.
Yes? One each? By the way, who's getting it? Is this on the,
Well, I got the last one with the seed funding. Plus, you've got all that script development money to spend. My God, you didn't give it to the writer.
Fuck no!
Oh, then, this one's on you. Oh, look. It's from that horrid little man in that guest house.
What guest house?
You know, the one we stayed in during the festival. When we were up on the pretense of meeting Harvey Keitel. When we were filming Braveheart 2 up in the Lithgow Palace. You were horribly drunk. Oh, the freebie, the jolly, the junket.
There've been so many.
You put it through as a recce for a possible documentary on the Great British Guest House. Your accountant had the audacity to question the hospitality expenses because they came to around $3 grand.
That's right, the bastard!
Do you remember I posted a few comments on that Holiday Advisor website?
Yes.
Well, after a couple of bouts of verbal sparring, he finally conceded and invited us to spend a lovely weekend at his hotel at his own expense during the festival. Let's see how sorry he is.
No, I couldn't possibly go back there. I almost got berry. Or was it dengue fever?
There's a wonderful distillery nearby. Plus, it's completely free.
Well, in that case, I suggest you write back and tell him we'd be delighted to accept his offer.
Oh dear, no. Yeah, that's far too eager. I'll tell him we'll, consider his offer. You're giving away too much too soon. You have to build anticipation. Like in a film script. Oh, honestly, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you knew nothing about writing.
Sorry about this, darling, but I really can't take the chance of any of the guests coming across you. Still, wouldn't be the first time I expect. Now, I would like to say that I'm sorry that it's come to this, but I'm not. Not really. You see, there's only so much a person can take before they snap. Even me. And now at least, I can concentrate on getting the business back up and running, can't I? Talking of which, thank you so much for the £20,000 rainy day money. Mwah! Much appreciated. But you should be more careful with where you leave your online banking information. Writing it in your diary, next to your memorable information. All those years of drinking must have addled your brain. Still, Saves me the trouble of pickling it. Oh, that'll be our guests. If it's all the same to you, dear, I won't introduce you. You seem a little detached today. I'll tell them you're otherwise indisposed. Oh, one more thing. Don't mind the rats. They moved in once the building on the motorway started. Personally, I find them sort of comforting. I'm sure you'll find them a step up from some of the company you're used to keeping. Thank you so much for taking me up on my offer. I mean, for me, life's all about learning from our mistakes, isn't it? All about getting a second chance. Thank you.
I do hope he's not going to spend the whole weekend bowing and scraping.
On the contrary, I'd expect nothing less.
By the way, what happened to you today? I was looking after you at the television festival.
Bosses wouldn't let me in. Apparently there was some mix-up with my delegate's pass. Do you know they actually expected me to pay? I refused on principle.
Cheek. Do you know, it'll be writers expecting us to pay for options next.
Oh, the very idea.
Yes. That reminds me. I saw that script you gave me. The writer, the northern fellow, he was actually in the room. I'll wait till he gets wind of it, and I'll say what I always say.
You can't copyright an idea.
I see he's changed a few things. Doesn't look quite as untidy.
Ah, appearances can be deceiving. I'm sure we'll find something, if we look.
Yes, I think after dinner, we should do a thorough inventory and report back on that website. I wonder if he has wireless in his dump.
Why so eager? We have an entire weekend entirely at our host's expense. I suggest we milk this for all it's worth. Lull him into that false sense of security I was talking about. Make him think everything is fine, and then, just as we're about to leave, we pull the rug from underneath him, get to see that expression on his face. You know, the one that looks like a puppy that's just been kicked.
You know, I do hope I can get any sleep tonight until this plane's taking off and landing.
Well, I find copious amounts of alcohol help. And I intend to drink this little hovel dry.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Your meals, gentlemen. Now, I did get the chance to ask you on your first visit, but am I right in saying you both work in film and television?
You are?
Me too.
That must be incredibly rewarding, getting to see an original idea from a writer brought to life.
Yes, well, you see, I'm a writer, director, producer, so I do wear many different hats.
The writer is only a very small cog in a very big machine. There are much, much bigger cogs. The producer, for example, is the biggest of all the cogs, which is why I like to keep myself well oiled. Cheers.
I notice your wife isn't here.
Oh, she's nearby. Is the wine to your liking, gentlemen?
It'll suffice.
Then I shall leave you to your meals.
I seem to recall you having a particularly fine 40-year-old brandy. That'll go down very well after dinner.
But of course, this will be my pleasure.
Oh, another bottle of red for my friend. Your wine list is, as I suspected, totally devoid of anything other than the normal supermarket range. But it'll make do until the brandy. Well, that'll be all. Do you know, this horrid little wine reminds me of the first time I ever worked with Oliver Reed. We were drinking 6 bottles of this paint stripper out in Gdansk. Was it Cornwall? You know, I never can remember. Anyway, Ollie had lost his trousers again. And I said to him, he's sitting there in this grass skirt. I don't know where he'd gotten it from. And I said, Ollie, love, Ollie, dear, dear boy.
I don't know why I didn't notice it on our first visit, but suddenly it all made sense. The unjust criticism, their indifference. Just as I thought I'd get rid of these people from my life, here were 2 of them, back again. It became crystal clear, listening to their conversation, that they had spent a lifetime living off of the success and reputation of others. They brought nothing to the industry that they worked in, and it had been a miracle they were allowed to get away with it for so long. But then I remembered, film and television is the only place where the incompetent can fall upwards. They survived in a vacuous little existence, infecting all that they came into contact with. Like what? They used people for their own pleasure and financial gain. It was at that point that I knew the world would be a much, much better place without them in it. My time living with Gloria and her incessant nocturnal activities and sexual gymnastics with the guests had proved too much. Then there was the trouble with the business, the flyover, the runway, then the review. It'd all taken its toll, not just on my health, but on my sanity. Sleep had become a thing of the past. So I was prescribed these rather strong sedatives. I found that one would put me to sleep in about half an hour. I wondered, what effect would a dozen mixed with a bottle of house red have? Better than expected. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But who to serve the 2 first? That is the question. I think that was rather obvious, don't you? You!
You! I thought I'd seen the last of you.
That bloody husband of yours brought us back here.
And it didn't take much, did it? You parasite. You made his life a misery the last time. I'm glad to see he's redressed the balance.
Redressed the... He's cut my fucking head off, you stupid woman!
Don't speak to me like that!
Oh, well, excuse me! You seem to be missing the point. You're distinctly lacking in the body department yourself. So what was it finally tipped him over the edge, Did living with an obnoxious lush finally make him snap? Or was it your wandering eye every time a new sales rep came to the hotel that did it? These things weren't too difficult to spot.
I'm well aware of your eye for detail, thank you very much. It was your glowing review that sent him over the edge, if you really must know.
All I did was point some room for improvement. People can't accept criticism. Well, they shouldn't be in this business.
Even when it's totally unjust. And you've no idea what you're talking about. And your only motive is to destroy someone. Just because you can.
Well, gotta have some fun in my life.
I've no one else to blame for my predicament. Neither of you.
Do you know, there's something different about you. Can't quite put my finger on it. I know what it is. You're sober. Well, at least you finally got a clear head.
Yes, very droll.
Dinner, upon arrival, although not entirely unpleasant, was served in such quantities that it made it quite difficult to refuse the gargantuan proportions for fear of upsetting the owner, who, it will appear, was of such a fragile disposition that even the slightest complaint would have him reaching for the Kleenex. This gastronomic assault proved too much for this moderate eater, and it was only after a lengthy snooze that I felt able to try and seek out my companion, who I would imagine was already unearthing more horrors. It was during the process of said expedition that the owner suggested I take a look in the wine cellar and peruse his selection to see if I could find a grape that wouldn't offend my companion's palate. My first impressions of the cellar was a cold and damp place and completely devoid of any sort of wine. So I decided once again to try and find my companion, knowing that when I did, we both faced a long night ahead.
I recommend the claret. My wife will be dealing with complaints from now on.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning. Another day.
Yes.
Any plans?
That spider's putting on weight. Right in the corner.
Surprising, really, the amount of time he spends on that web. You think you burn up energy? All that weaving?
Spinning. Spiders don't weave webs, they spin them.
Someone's woken up like a bear with a sore head this morning.
Do you have to? It seems to me that at every given opportunity, you've got to throw the word head into the conversation. It's though you think it's clever or something.
It's actually a little irritating.
Well, if we had to wait for either of you two to say anything remotely interesting, we'd have an awful long wait, wouldn't we? Excuse me for trying to make the best of a bad situation.
How about a game of I Spy? Well, sure, odds a complete washout.
think it should come to this?
Oh, go on then, if we must.
Okay then, I'll go first. I spy, with my little eye, something beginning with ah.
Rat.
Those who may have read my early review of Sunnyview Guest House, I feel I have to apologise. I adopted the moniker of Wandering Minstrel, as I am one who is well travelled. But in my haste to save such seasoned travellers as myself a similar unfortunate experience, I had, to my eternal shame, wrongly named Sunnyview Guest House as the offending location of a recent unhappy stay. I can't emphasise enough how sorry I am for this massive error on my part, and having stayed at Sunnyview over the years, a place I would recommend highly to anyone, I can't begin to imagine what damage I may have caused. I would like to take this opportunity to extend my deepest apologies to Mr. Ralph Carpenter,
The wonderful hotelier of Sunnyview Guest House, who has made each and every one of my stays there, in particular the last one, most memorable. I hope that my deeply offensive and wrongful comments haven't been too damaging in this current climate. I would like to assure him that I have now taken down my past reviews in the hope that he can finally achieve what my woeful comments were stopping him from doing, which was simply to get ahead.